Hello everyone, a warm welcome to the openSAP course SAP Cloud Application Studio for SAP Business by Design, Week 2, Unit 5, Data Sources and Reports. My name is Tiju Thomas and I am a development specialist with Business by Design Development Organization. I'll be the speaker for this unit and many other upcoming units in this course. In this unit, I'm going to talk about data sources and reports. We will see on a high level the characteristics of data sources and reports in SAP Business by Design and how we can create them through Cloud Studio, how to create a data source for a custom BO, how to create a combined data source and a joint data source, enhance a data source for XBO. More on extensibility will be covered in the upcoming units. In the end, we also see how to create a report for one of these data sources. Data source in simple terms is a source of data stored in the database. Usually the source of data is in a raw format that has not been processed for the meaningful representation of the information. Therefore, for a more meaningful representation of the data, key figures and characteristics are associated with them. Data source in by design provides a multidimensional analytical view of the business data stored in the database. Key figures are fields or attributes based on which the values are selected in a data source. In other words, key figures contain data that is represented as a numerical value, either a quantity or a monetary value. For example, invoice net value in customer invoice, purchase order quantity in a purchase order, and sales price in a sales order are key figures. There are typically two types of key figures: calculated key figure and restricted key figure. A calculated key figure is a key figure that is determined using calculation rules or formulas. You can create a calculated key figure from existing key figures in the selected data source. A restricted key figure allows you to take data and apply filters to that key figure only. As the name implies, it is restricted to a specific characteristics value and is often created for comparison metrics. Characteristics in a data source can be a field according to which values are selected. This can be numeric or alphanumeric. For example, location and products. Now, we have different types of data sources. So, data sources can be broadly classified into two: combined data source and joint data source. A combined data source combines the data of two or more data sources that semantically match each other. As a result, it will pull out all the data of involved data sources. Let us say, for example, you have two data sources, 1 and 2. Let us assume we have data in data source 1 but not in data source 2. You will then receive two rows for that certain data, where one line will be shown as hashtag for not assigned. This happens because combined data source will only merge the data without checking for any matches between the data. On the other hand, you have joint data sources. These data sources will merge data between two or more data sources based on the matching of its data. There are two types of joint data source: left outer join and inner join. Left outer join data source is a type of join that selects all characteristics values from the anchor data source and those characteristics value that match in the other join data source that are added along with any key figure values. Inner join data source is a type that will select only characteristics from the data source to be joined that match in the joint data source field along with any key figure values. Characteristics field values that do not appear in both data sources will be excluded to create an inner join data source. In addition to these, you would also have a third category of data source, cloud data source. It is a data source uploaded from an external source into SAP Business by Design for reporting purposes. Moving on, there are reports also available in Business by Design. You could create reports based on the data sources that you created in Cloud Studio. The first step to create a new report is to identify the data source that holds the data you are looking for. Reports show the data and values derived from key figures and characteristics in data sources, key figure structures and key figure grids. Now let us look in the Cloud Studio for a short demo. Now in the Cloud Studio, as you have already learned, there were custom BOs created in the previous units by my colleague Guru. So, you could already see in the solution, as part of my solution, we have job applications BO, job listing BO, job profile BO being created. So, right now what I am going to do, I will create a data source, custom data source based on the job listing BO. you just need to right click on the BO and just say create data source. Additionally, you could also go to the add new item icon here and click on this and select the analytics, and it gives all the possibility available through Cloud Studio. So, here also I can also select the create data source, and I can just say job application job listing job listing.ds and say add. So, this will open up the wizard to create a data source. So, by as you can already see, the namespace, the business object, the anchor nodes are already selected, and the data source name is also we just provided in the first step, and I have given it the same description. And now you can see there are additional options to enable the access control for this, or allow referencing, which means that these data source that you create can be referenced in other data source, and the fields of your data source can be used in other reports. Or as part of GDPR, you also have this log sensitive personal data. If you check this, that will be enabled. I will not select that for our purpose. I will just move on, click on next. It is taking a while. Yeah. So, now you can see all the fields that are part of your business object of job list BO has come up here. I will select a few of them for our data source. Yeah, I think that should be good enough. And then say click on next. So, here in this step you can define transformation rule. Basically, if you have a date field, I do not know if I have a date field here. Okay, I have a job and date, yeah, which I have selected. Yeah. So, if you have a date field, you could just transform this either to month or to year, and this is how it is going to display as part of your data source when you create. Yep. So, I can also select that as my key figure and then just click on next. And here in this step you have to specify if there are any reference data source that you are using, and also the display name of the fields that you have selected. So, I will quickly check change the fields here to job location, the domain, the employment type, employee ID, and name. Yep. So, I have done with that and just move on, and then there is an aggregation behavior for the key figures. I have just skipped this part, just move it, and then this is the final screen. You can review the data whatever you entered in the previous steps, and if required, if some changes are needed, you can just go back to any of the previous steps and then modify that. Now, my data looks good. I just click on finish. So, now you can see the job listing.ds already appears here. I just need to activate this. It is already activated, and just to be on the safer side, I also activate the BO. So, now we have just created one data source for the custom BO job listing. I also have the other BOs, job applications and job profile. So, in a similar way, I have already created a data source offline and kept this, we will be using it later. So, right now you can see the data source and the BOs are activated. Let me just quickly log into the UI and just go to the business analytics work center, to the data sources, and check for the data source that we have just created here in this OWL. So, here yeah, as you can see there is this, the first one is a SAP created data source. The second and 2 are the ones which I have created. The one which we just created as job listing, you can just preview this data source and go to the view and just select some of these fields that you want to be listed and click on OK. Now you can see whatever data that is part of your job listing BO has appeared here. Yeah. So this is you can have some selection basically here based on, maybe I select domain and then say development and functional. I do some filtering here. So then click on apply. So the data is filtered based on that. Yep. So job listing, and then now we can maybe also quickly look at job application data source. I will just add few fields here as well. I just select these fields, click on OK, and now you can see the data has been populated even for this data source. Yeah, similar way you could also do some selections if you really required that. Now we go back to the BDI and then see how to create joint data source or combined data source basically for these two data sources that we just created. So I will say combined data source underscore job or list. I just provide that name and just click on add. So now this opens up the UI where it will take me to the particular screen to create a combined data source. Remember, this is not any good capability of SDK, but it is just an analytical capability offered in Business by Design itself. So I just provide the combined data source list. The description is here, and I say add data source, and I will just filter by job whatever I created. I know job listing is the data source that I created. By default the fields are created or they selected, and I just say click on OK. And the fields have appeared here, and to combine and the second data source I will again choose job application data source that I have created. I have already listed it. I can just click on OK, and that is it. I can just do a check mapping here. No inconsistencies found in this combined data source. I can click on save and close this from here, and it will prompt me that I will come out of this window, and I am in the previous UI where I have logged in. Let me just refresh here or rather search for combined. Let me see if I can get it here. Yeah, there it is. You already see the combined data source that we just created. I click on preview and then view and just select some of the fields quickly to show you if the data has been combined from both the data sources. Yeah. So now you see an aggregated values or the number. There are many more records that you have seen. Basically, this what it has done is it has combined all the data sources. You could see during the presentation I mentioned that if the data is not relevant, it appears as hashtag. So this is exactly what you see here for wherever the employee ID is not maintained, you see it as hashtag here. Yep. So this is the combined data source. I will also now just quickly try to show you how you could create also join data source, maybe inner join. I will just quickly add that. Again the window opens here. Okay, so the inner join has come up. I can quickly add the fields, job listing, yeah, the values are, I will select all the fields, all the characteristics values, key figure, and click on OK. I add again the job application data source. Select all the characteristics values as part of job application data source, click on OK, and I just check once everything is fine, the check is successful. Set anchor, this I have explained during my presentation. By default your first data source will be your left, or the left anchor data source will be your anchor. You could just change it to job application, which is the second data source. Right, I am not going to do anything now. I can just click on save and then close this. Yeah, this will be closed. Again we are back here. Okay, I just need to now you can see here already the inner join. So now if you see, select some of these values, job title, manager, location. Yeah, so now you can see the number of records has been reduced because it doesn't really go just plain, it doesn't combine like the previous combined data source, but it really look for the records in both the data source where you can actually have the values, and that is what is being displayed here. So I have done this, and I just need to quickly just tell you one more thing here. I also have created a extension of the sales order standard BO, which is called the sales order.xbo. You will learn more about it in the following units in the upcoming week. But it's also possible that you can just click on enhance report and then enhance this the XBO here. So you can already see. Okay, just before that let me just quickly open the XBO and tell you what I have done it here. So you can see as part of the extension I have added an element called express delivery, which is an indicator. It's part of XBO. I need to enhance the report to include this field in the sales order header data source. Yeah, so it will show up here. I can just click on OK, and then it will again take me to the UI wherein I can just add it. Just a click of a button you can add it. In the interest of time I have already added it, so maybe we can just quickly check in the standard data source this field has appeared or not. So I will just look for sales order header. Yeah, there it is. Let me just quickly go in and check. Try to add the fields. Yeah, you could see the express delivery that I have added via SDK has come up here. You could just select the field and then do some selection criteria and basically add the values here. Yep. So this is all I wanted to show from a demo point of view. So as a summary, now we have learned about data source and reports in byd8, various types of data source in byd8, how to create a custom data source for a custom BO, and combine two data source. Also I covered how the inner join works in via Cloud Application Studio. We also learned how to enhance the data source based on the XBO. To gain a deeper understanding on analytics in SAP Business byd8, please check out the openSAP course Built-in Analytics in SAP Business byd8. I hope you enjoy this unit. See you again in the next unit. Thank you and have a nice day.